Hello, this is Ginny Brant with Unleash Your God-Given Healing with Lifestyle Changes. Today, after a long trip to South America, we're going to look at 12 tips for reducing stress while traveling. In the day in which we live, traveling has become more stressful over time. The days of hopping on an airplane and arriving just an hour before the flight are gone. We now live in a world of canceled and delayed flights, long TSA lines, lost baggage, busy airports, and many uncertainties. Welcome to the world of domestic and especially international travel. Now, because my husband and I love to travel, we've learned to navigate this crazy maze and lessen the stress that can actually ruin a trip. Here's just one example. After traveling several years ago, 28 hours to get halfway around the world to Sydney, Australia, we arrived only to find that our next flight was canceled because the Cairns airport and the entire area was declared a disaster zone after a hurricane. We were stranded. We'd missed a whole night's sleep. And when we went to retrieve our luggage and also try to find a nearby hotel, my cell phone would not work, and we discovered our luggage was nowhere to be found. Talk about stress. We looked like two bedraggled house cats when we finally arrived at the Pier 1 Marriott Hotel in Sydney, Australia. I was a bundle of nerves. Instead of resting like we would normally do, we spent our first day trying to track down our luggage and trying to see how to work out our trip to Cairns to visit the Great Barrier Reef. Eugene, our concierge, finally told me, "Ginny, I can't advise you to go to Cairns. It's a disaster area, and most hotels are closed." Oh, our trip's number one goal was to go to the Great Barrier Reef. My heart was broken, but I knew deep inside he was right. He told me not to leave Sydney until I had my lost luggage in hand. He said, even though the airlines say the luggage will follow you, the situation will only get worse. Eugene warned us. Then he told us that he had called the airline on our behalf about our luggage, and for the first time, he was told they actually have no idea where your luggage is. And he advised us in these circumstances to go back to the airport and sit outside the baggage claim office and force them, with our presence, to find our luggage. Tired and physically exhausted, we sat on that concrete floor nearly all day. On the second day of our trip, finally, someone noticed us and tried to help us. She asked if we had AirTags. We didn't know there was such a thing as AirTags. She admitted that the airlines did not know where our luggage was, but she was going to try to help us to find it. After sitting on that concrete floor for 6 hours, she finally came out and gave us the good news. Our luggage was in Melbourne, Australia, and they were sending it on the next flight to Sydney. We waited at the airport several more hours until it arrived. I had never been so relieved to have my hands on that luggage. We took a cab back to our hotel, and we met with Eugene. He helped us to divert our trip to Melbourne and helped us to make all of the arrangements. Melbourne turned out to be a wonderful place to visit. But welcome to the world of international travel. Our first 2 days were filled with nothing but stress. So today I'm going to give you 12 tips we've learned to reduce stress while traveling. most of them learned from the school of hard knocks. Number one, get your affairs in order. When you leave to go across the world for weeks or even months, you want all of your financials and legal affairs in order. Make sure your wills are up to date and your accounts. Make sure your executor or family has access to your financials should you not be able to return as planned or should something happen. Before we leave, we always send updated information to a trusted individual in the event that something delays or strands us, or God forbid, one of us is injured or even passes to glory. Before this recent trip, I discovered that our banking account and CDs did not have our sons as beneficiaries. So I took care of that a few days before we left. In all these years, nothing has happened, but it allows us to leave with less stress, knowing that our affairs are in order should something happen. Number two, carry your passports, boarding passes, visas, etc., in a safe container around your neck or your waist. This goes around my neck. Some do go around the waist, and this is what I use. It's great because here are my passports and all information. Now, I know it's not very fashionable, but I don't worry about fashion when I travel. I care about security and comfort. If you lose your passport, identification, boarding passes, or visas when traveling, it can be a nightmare. Years ago, when on a mission trip to Romania, my roommate lost her passport. Our entire bus could not cross the border until she got it, and she risked having to be left behind. Then both of us remembered that we had decided to go for a walk the afternoon before we left, and she had left it under her pillow. So we called the hotel, and thank God the maid had found it and turned it into the front desk. She had to pay a courier to drive 5 hours to bring the passport to where we were. Never, never again. Our stress levels were off the charts. When traveling, our passports and important information are always, as I said, around my neck. And when we are in a hotel, those important documents are in the hotel safe in our room. It takes two of us to remind each other to get everything out of the safe before we check out. We also carry a photocopy of the picture page of our passport and color paper copies that we put in our suitcase should we lose our passports. I also recommend copying your insurance cards on both sides and important credit card information as well. And also have your travel insurance verification with you and access to the entire policy if needed. Number three, book direct flights if possible and allow at least 2 hours between connecting flights. If you book your airfare early, you will have better access to direct flights. You want to book flights with the least amount of changes if not direct. I always go to Google Flights or Expedia just to see what all of the airlines are offering. And I also compare pricing. Less stops equals less stress and less chance of missing a flight, lost baggage, and less cosmic radiation. When I book my airfare with Viking Cruises, I always pay for what they call Air Plus. It gives me a say in the airline and direct flights and connection times. I research in advance and I know what I want, and Air Plus helps me to get it. 3 of my Viking cruises have actually given us free airfare, so paying for the Air Plus was minimal and well worth it, but we always do Air Plus. Some airlines will allow you to make reservations with 35 to 40-minute connection times. Don't do that, especially when you have to clear customs and immigration. When customs and immigration are involved, you'll need 2 to 3 hours, usually more towards 3. Several years ago, when flying through the Philadelphia airport on our way back from London, the line to go through customs and immigration was so long, we risked not making our next flight, which was 2.5 hours away. We finally cleared those 2 lines and then hit the reentry TSA line, which looked like it was about a mile long. I'm not teasing. We realized we would not make our flight. I went to the airline for help, and advised by an airline official, we exited the airport and went in through the TSA line in the next terminal. We made our flight with just a few minutes to spare. Now, that was a close call, and it was the last flight out to our airport that night with all nearby hotels full. Again, welcome to the world of travel. It's better to be safe than sorry. I now allow 3 hours to clear customs and immigration and reentry through TSA. And I also avoid flights that come into the United States through Philadelphia. They clearly don't have this under control, with too many international flights arriving with too few people helping with the flow. Even with global entry and TSA pre-check, this airport was not set up to handle the volume of passengers. Usually, global entry and TSA help, and I do recommend them if you travel overseas yearly or more. Number 4, consider buying air tags. There's nothing worse than arriving to your destination and not having your luggage. It's happened to me 6 times in the past 12 years. The most memorable time was when I was speaking in Alaska at a women's conference. I had packed my computer and all my essentials for speaking in my carry-on, and all my clothing, including speaking attire, in my check-in bag. Big mistake. We had a few days of sightseeing and hiking in Alaska before the conference began, and I simply wore the same clothes for 3 days. But when it was time to speak, I had nothing appropriate to wear. The event planner that I was staying with had one thing in her wardrobe that fit me. We were not the same size at all, and it was a kuzpuk, an Alaskan outfit with boots, and here it is. Look at this picture of me getting ready to go speak in this. But as soon as I put it on, I actually got ready to speak in it, and then I heard the Delta man coming up the sidewalk with my luggage. Close call. We now have Apple tags in each of our suitcases, so we always know where our luggage is. And I pack an extra outfit and essentials in my carry-on bag, especially my vitamins and any medications. Here are the air tags. This is what it looks like, and here's the box. 4 to a box. Number 5, carry less clothing over more. Remember that you are the one that has to cart this luggage around over sidewalks, bumps, and streets. It's best to pack clothing that meets your needs for a week and then wear them multiple times by washing them. This is how we survive for a month. On our trips, we usually travel on our own for 7 to 14 days before we get on a cruise ship. As we travel from place to place, we plan to wash every week. As soon as we get on the cruise ship, we go straight to the laundry and wash again. Then we wash before we leave the ship, knowing we'll have another 5 to 7 days on the other side of sightseeing. If you wash more, you can carry less. Avoid taking unnecessary things and roll your clothes for wrinkles and to save space. Number 6, always join the airline program you're traveling on. We're big Delta fans, but sometimes they don't go where we do. So we have memberships in all the airlines that we travel on. When coming back from our Australia, New Zealand trip, I got a notification from the airline I joined just for this trip. I joined their alerts and their frequent flyer. The day before we left to go home, I got an alert from the airline saying that they actually had seats in business class for an upgrade at a price. These seats usually sell for $3,000 to $5,000 more each way, which would not be affordable for us. But when I clicked on the offer, it said $300 each to upgrade. I could not believe my eyes, and I clicked on the offer and I paid for it as quick as I could. Now, maybe it was an error, but when we arrived at the airport, we got business class seats all the way from Auckland, New Zealand to Dallas, Texas for $300 each, a bargain. And we were exhausted and we slept most of the way. When I got home and told my travel agent, she could not believe that happened. She told me not to expect that again. But this is what I say, there's always help. And I keep trying. My frequent flyer gold medallion status on Delta sometimes bumps me up to a higher class of service. Status does pay off. Number 7, take supplements that boost the immune system before flying and while on your trip. When you enter an airport, realize you're entering a germ factory that collects from all over the world. An airport is a likely place to pick up just the right germs to put a damper on your trip. Be prepared by taking immune-enhancing supplements to boost your immune system. And ask your doctor for antibiotics and other medications depending on where you are going that might be beneficial. For this recent trip to South America, I took Oregon Grape, Tincture by Herb Farm, and Rapid Immune Boost, also by Herb Farm. I took them twice a day, 2 days before my trip and throughout the entire trip. And it worked. Number 8, leave for the airport earlier than expected. We know that we should be at the airport 2 hours before a domestic flight and 3 hours early for international flights. But don't make the mistake of not adding extra time for traffic en route to the airport. I've had 3 close calls on this one I don't want to repeat. The first time was on my way to the Charlotte airport, and the entire interstate on my side was backed up due to an accident. I quickly got off the interstate and took back roads. Fortunately, I made the flight by the hair of my chinny chin chin, but I feared I wouldn't, and that created a lot of stress. Then when flying with my husband to visit my son and his family in Phoenix, Arizona, we normally don't have issues getting to the Greenville-Spartanburg Airport. But this morning at 6 a.m., as we were traveling through Greenville on the interstate, construction and an accident had us at a dead stop. We arrived at the Greenville-Spartanburg Airport with 2 minutes to spare. Never again. These incidences made me always leave earlier than expected. The next time we were flying from Atlanta, we allowed 4 hours to get to the airport, which normally takes 2 hours. An hour outside of the Atlanta airport, a tractor-trailer truck caught on fire and shut down both sides, not one, both sides of the interstate, and all back roads were jammed. It was stressful, but the only thing that kept us sane was knowing we had 2 extra hours to get there. And it took 3 hours more for a total of 5 hours for a trip that normally takes 2 hours. We arrived 1 hour before our domestic flight, but we made it. When flying, we've learned to be cautious, and it's always better to get to the airport early than to be frantic trying to make a flight. You can always pull out your computer or your cell phone and get to work, or be prepared with a good book to read. And now that we have lounge access through our Delta Reserve card, we simply go to the lounge where it's more comfortable. Some lounges actually have lounge chairs where you can kick back and sleep. They have lots of good food and things to drink and places to do work and to charge your computer and cell phones. We just upgraded to this card last year, and here's why. For $650 a year, we get a buy one, get one free ticket, airline ticket, to be used in the United States, Mexico, and the Caribbean. Last year, we went to Aruba, both of us, for $600. We get the lounge access I just mentioned, free baggage. And here's the main reason we upgraded. We now get $10,000 of travel insurance for 2 trips a year, a total of $20,000 a year. This saves us money, and it's well worth the $650 that we pay. And the link to this card, here it is, the Delta Reserve card, will be in the show notes below. Use it, and we could both earn rewards if you're approved and get a card. Take a look at it and see if it might be helpful for you. Now, I also have a Marriott Bonvoy card. It's a Visa credit card. And in case you don't know, not all countries and places accept American Express. So you always have to have a Visa or a MasterCard as a complement to it. And both the American Express and this Visa card actually convert foreign currency into American dollars on the spot with no fees charged. What a convenience. If you don't have lounge access, let's get back to that. You can always plan to eat breakfast or lunch once you get through TSA to pass the time. When flying, again, better early than panicking and late. It's too expensive and unpredictable when you miss a flight, especially an international flight that only goes once a day. When flying in other countries, make sure you know what their requirements are. In Argentina, one of their flights gave us 2 hours notice that it was leaving 30 minutes earlier than scheduled. Then on the way home, our flight was canceled, and we were placed on a later flight and to an airport 90 minutes away from the original airport. Such things can happen. Some countries also require that you be at the airport gate and put in a holding area, already checked in, an hour before it takes off, or you lose your seat. So be informed. Number 9, increase your water intake before and during a flight. You want to be well hydrated, and this also includes avoiding alcohol and limiting caffeine. Every time the stewardess or steward passes by, ask for more water. We also carry on the plane water after we go through TSA that we get at their filtered water stations. Airports usually have these filtering stations that you can fill your containers with. And this is what we use. It is stainless steel on the inside. Now, when you get on the plane, you'll also have to partake of bottled water on long flights because your hydration needs are important. Again, these containers can be so helpful, and your body can handle stress better when you are well hydrated. Something to think about. Number 10, I know this sounds petty, but try to use restrooms in the airport before and immediately after flying. This lessens your trips to the airplane restroom, which are in close quarters, as you know, and you're more likely to be exposed to germs in these close quarters. On long overseas flights, you won't be able to avoid the airplane restrooms, so use them cautiously, but I try to avoid them if it's possible. Number 11, move while on that plane. Once the seatbelt sign is turned off, use this opportunity to walk around the plane when there's no turbulence. Sitting for 5 to 10 hours straight is not good for your circulation or your muscles. We always try to get an exit row seat on these long flights, even if we have to pay a little bit extra to get it. And sometimes we get bumped up to comfort class or first class. And that's always a great benefit to have. Number 12, rest the first day you arrive after an overnight flight. Neither one of us can sleep well on an overnight flight unless we happen to get upgraded to business class where we can lie flat down. We let our hotel know ahead of time that we want an early check-in, and we are usually able to check in and go straight to bed once we arrive at that hotel. After sleeping 3 to 4 hours, we get up, exercise, eat a meal before turning in early that same night. We also ground our feet in sand or grass or at the beach as soon as we arrive at our hotel. Everyone in the plane gets exposed to a minimal amount of cosmic radiation, and this is one way to lower that exposure. And this is one of the reasons why pilots and airplane crew are limited to how many hours they can be in the air per day, per week especially. These 12 tips can help you to reduce the stress of traveling when airplanes are involved. When flights leave early, it never hurts to stay at an airport hotel to avoid the traffic jams in the morning, especially when you're traveling several hours away, like we do many times, to a big city airport like Charlotte or Atlanta. Just remember, there's nothing worse than missing a flight and the ramifications that follow. And when you are traveling, almost anything can happen. So implement these tips and be prepared. And do remember that Delta Reserve link will be in the show notes below. I hope this has been helpful information for you. Traveling is fun. Traveling is educational. Traveling is excited. But there is a stress that comes with it. And we want to minimize that as much as possible so you can enjoy your travel and your vacation. I do hope that you will subscribe to my YouTube channel, that you will like this video, that you will share this video, and that you will click the notification bell so that you know when I post new information. Until next time, here's to traveling with less stress, and may God bless.